whenever I speak about entrepreneurship, I start to glow. Yeah, I start to glow. And I truly enjoy teaching it, especially because Tsiba allows the entrepreneur in us. It allows us to say, you guys are welcome to do what you think is best for entrepreneurship. So they allow us the autonomy to dream and to have a vision and to be creative.
Hi guys, welcome to Response Able with Professor Nikki James. I mean, louder is better in my opinion.
I think so.
Because then we can yell. I feel like I have a fake loud voice. Because if I actually screamed right now, I would be super loud. Everybody, welcome back to the Response Able podcast. Thank you so much for listening in each week and leaning into these conversations. This week, from Cape Town, South Africa, I get to introduce you to Sinethemba Dangazel. Sinethemba was born and raised in Gugulethu Township here in Cape Town and has built an amazing business and recently transitioned into being the head of entrepreneurship at Suba Business School. My students that come on the Impact Entrepreneurship in South Africa program get to hear and learn and receive wisdom from Sinethemba because he really supports our program here. But for those of you who don't, you are in for a treat. Sinethemba is passionate, is a visionary, and really is trying to take his life of purpose as far and wide as it's willing to take him. So I hope that you are inspired. I hope you're encouraged. And I hope that you see what is possible when you put aside your fear and step out and try and build a business or pursue your purpose. Thanks, Sinethemba, for sharing your story with us. Let's jump in. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sinethemba.
Thank you.
We have hope.
Yes.
I love that. We were talking about that earlier before we turned the mics on.
Right.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so grateful that you are here and that I get to introduce you to everyone. My students who come to South Africa get to meet you every year, but students that haven't had the opportunity and friends that listen in are going to get to meet you, which is really cool. So I'm very excited. So thank you. My very first question for you is, who are you?
Wow.
He's like, how much time do I have?
Yeah, it's always a huge question. So I always firstly describe myself as a child of God, born in the image of God and in his likeness. And I think part of why I'm here is to really pursue his purpose through my life. So that's who I am. But I grew up in Gugulethu, Cape Town, and I've lived pretty much most of my life here. And I switched and went to Johannesburg, relocated to Johannesburg for about 2 years, and now I'm back. And so that's Sinethemba. I have a tent business. So we specialize in hiring for tents, for birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, you name it. And also currently a lecturer at Tsiba Business School. So in a nutshell, that's who I am.
Sinethemba drank the academic Kool-Aid, which I'm really excited about because he has a lot of wisdom to share. Amazing. Okay, so how did we get there? We are today a lecturer at Suba, and you also have your own company, and you're also just about to get married, which is really exciting. Woohoo! But I guess, how did you decide that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Was that kind of a decision that made for you? Like, what did you study?
Yeah.
How did this all get started?
Right. So I think the whole entrepreneurship thing sort of followed me, but it started when I was studying my events management. So I did a diploma in event management. And on our very first day of university, our lecturer had outlined to us what the course would entail. and what we would do once we graduate. And so I just sort of went into daydreaming, and I really saw myself at a prestigious event with prominent figures. And this was the wedding of the president's daughter. Now, which president? I don't know. But I mean, the woman looked absolutely stunningly beautiful, glittery dresses, fancy champagne glasses, while the guys were wearing tuxedos, and everyone was beautiful. But in the middle of all of that was this guy. He's tall, he's dark, he's sweating, wearing a lapel mic, making sure that the sound is good, the food is amazing, the cake is there and everything. And I happened to see myself as that guy. And that's how it started. And so I never knew then that this was called entrepreneurship, but I said I want to be an independent events manager, not knowing that this was translating to entrepreneurship. Okay. So when I started having this conversation with people, they started saying, but this is entrepreneurship, right? Then to cut the long story short, I then built a whole entire business plan, and I took it out for funding. And that's when the National Youth Development Agency funded me 50,000 Rand for it, which was capital to start the business.
Right.
And then I got other fundings from private investors and so forth. And so I've grown this since 2015 up until now, and we're still running it. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so what was the time? So you did a diploma of event management.
Yes.
Did you start the business while you were still studying,
yes.
or was it okay?
Yeah. So I actually used all my notes because we started learning about business plans, business canvas models, how to start up businesses, capital, all of the necessary business tools that you need. So while they had been teaching us about these things, I would sort of just take it and translate it into a business plan, sort of translate it into this and that. So when we learned marketing, I would just develop the marketing department of my company. When we learned about finances, I would sort of translate it. So what I would actually do is, and also because in South Africa, the load shedding had started. Okay. So we would have the schedule. So I would be in university until about 4, but the load shedding would start at about 5 till 7, sometimes 5 to 8. Then I said, what's the point of going home? So I'd attend classes all day. And then after that, I would go to they used to call it the e-commerce, we would do in the computer lab at the time. Then I would just sit there until about 8 in the evening and just work on my business and then go home. And I sort of did that for like 2 straight years until I got the funding. So by the time I graduated, the business had been actually running. Yeah.
Amazing.
But I also delayed my studies a bit because I started like falling in love with this thing. And then I said, maybe I should sort of stretch my studying, because we had, I think, about 8 modules per semester. And then I would just do 4 modules per semester so that it would give me more time to focus. So I ended up sort of graduating 2 years later. But that was okay for me. I was more obsessed about building the business than graduating. In fact, my mom was like, I told my mom, I want to quit school. And she said, no, you can't. Just first finish and then you'll be okay. So I think that was a wise, very, very wise mom.
Yeah. Wise mom, absolutely. And just for everybody who doesn't understand what load shedding is, in South Africa and a lot of other countries around the world, there isn't enough electricity to supply everybody at the same time. So they kind of share electricity by turning it off and on in different regions. So often in Cape Town, which I've also experienced while I was here, is you would lose electricity for like 2 or sometimes 4 hours a couple of times during the day based on where you were. So, I mean, it made sense staying at school working, because what were you going to do when you went home?
Yeah. And we don't have load shedding at school.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah.
So taking the lemons and making lemonade.
100%.
That's great. Wow, that's so cool. So you actually will... If we were left to your own devices, it sounds like maybe you would have quit school.
Yeah.
But thanks to a wise mom, you stuck it out, but did it in a way that worked for you so you could actually build your business. So when you graduated, you were already kind of employing yourself?
Indeed. So when I graduated, so the business had been running fully. I was like on full mode entrepreneurship. And I was also a bit younger then. I'm still young.
We're all young, don't worry.
So I was in full mode entrepreneurship. But then I think I realized later that I wanted to build this business into like a much bigger business than what it is. And then I realized I might maybe need school for that. And that's when I had to go back to school to do my postgrad and now currently my master's.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So when you realized that you kind of had reached the limitation of your capability, you went back and did a postgrad in what?
In business administration.
Okay. Where was that?
At SIBA.
Oh, okay. We're seeing where the SIBA connection comes in here. And when was that? How long ago?
So we graduated in 2025. So it was 18 months, 2023 till 25. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did that additional knowledge have an impact on the business? What were the things that you felt that you were limited by that you're no longer limited by?
Yeah. So the scope of the PG dip is much practical and it's much more wider, as you can imagine. It's postgrad studies. So it obviously then, and it's very much business centric. So it was very focused on business, very focused. And what I loved about the SIBA postgrad is that it allowed the curriculum allows you to go back and work on your business. Of course, I mean, somebody else would say, I'm working at a corporate setting, so I would like to use that knowledge to inherit in corporate. But for me, it was more relevant to the business, and everything that we were doing was quite relevant to the business. Of course, we had some modules, like I think it's international business, that for me wasn't like my strength because I had no affiliation with that at the time.
No desire to go global.
No desire, really. I would have gone for project management. I think that would have worked better. But most of the class, because we have to choose an elective. So the international business was an elective, and sort of 4 out of 5 chose that, and they said, "Oh, we're going for that. If you didn't choose it, just stick with it." But the postgrad was more in tune with the business, and it allowed me really to sort of dig deeper and sort of expand on the marketing and the PR and the admin and the finance and so forth. And I think it was quite great. It gave me more confidence as well to even approach bigger investors, to dream bigger and to risk bigger. And I think that for me worked. And yeah, I think that's what it did for me, really.
Yeah, so it sounds like it gave you a bit of confidence in your capability as well.
Absolutely.
What are some of the big lessons that you learned as an entrepreneur trying to work it out as you went?
Well, I guess everywhere else there's a formula, I think. But in entrepreneurship, we don't. You have to create the formula. You have to, because everything is sort of like open-ended, and you have to sort of bring it together and sort of make it work. So you could take a risk, but is it just a risk or is it a calculated risk? Right? You could work in a collaborative effort, but are these the right people to collaborate with?
Right.
So my biggest lessons were really, you are allowed to go out, explore, be creative, and sort of tackle the myths as well, and sort of the barriers you can push back a little bit. And I guess because I see myself pushing back a lot with many challenges in life, and I think it comes from being entrepreneurial. Because everywhere you go, you get rejected sometimes, you get undermined and underestimated, and you sort of go back and be like, no, but this works. It's just maybe I'm not the problem. Maybe you are the problem. And so I've sort of adapted that mindset where in life, I sort of approach life in a manner where I am not afraid to get into certain rooms. I am confident to get into certain rooms. I mean, running a business in South Africa is a huge thing, irrespective of how big or small the business is. I think when I speak to a lot of young people and they go, look at what you're doing versus look at what many other young people are doing, and the phenomenon of running a business is just by itself quite inspirational. I do it because I love it. So the problems and the challenges for me are sort of like second nature. But the pushing back, the risk taking, the creativity is amazing. And the confidence to get into rooms. And because what entrepreneurship did for me, Nikki, is that it got me into rooms that I never thought I would. For example, I've been called so many times to guest lecture at universities. I never thought that I would do that. For me, it was just, I want to pitch a tent and make my client happy. But
Yeah.
somebody saw that and was excited and like, come tell us how you do this thing.
Uh-huh.
Because of that entrepreneurship, I'm having this conversation with you.
Absolutely.
And
Well, we
so-
know each other because of teaching
100%.
in university entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Can you see, I guess, things in your childhood that maybe gave you that entrepreneurial spark? Can you see things that you did in your childhood or lessons that you learned? Or like, where does that entrepreneurial hustle DNA come from?
I really don't know. I think it comes from, again, events management.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess in events management, you're being really taught about creativity. So here we are having an event, and how creative can we be in making this event work? So oftentimes, I think they should have a module that is creativity in events, really, because it's innovative thinking, it's creative thinking, it's thinking out of the box. I grew up in a very safe space and a very secured space, very close-knit family, very normal. We go to church, we come back. Fortunately, I grew up privileged enough not to go to bed without having something to eat or having to worry about what are we going to eat tomorrow, which maybe gave me enough time to think and sort of explore the world. So my upbringing was very normal, very strict, very disciplined, but very protected. My mom was she did a very good job at protecting and making sure that, things go just the right way. So I guess when I started events management, the rebellion in me started. Because then I was like, I live a very safe and secured life. And when I relocated to Johannesburg, it wasn't a good idea for many outsiders, but because I built that entrepreneurship or that entrepreneurial mindset of taking risks, I said, I'm going. And I literally packed my bags and left. So upbringing, nothing much. I think when I got to university, that's where my mind sort of changed. And from there, the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah, that's so cool. And now, where did the getting to come? You mentioned that people would ask you to guest lecture. How did you end up leading entrepreneurship at SIVA?
It's a very interesting story. So I started working voluntarily for SIVA with the programs that they had. So I would come in and my business would always be like a business case study for students coming overseas and you name it. And so I always had that engagement and interaction. But one of the things that I really enjoy doing is public speaking, and I get invited a lot to speak publicly. So I came to think that maybe I could do this lecturing thing, especially because every time when I was invited for guest lecturing, students would be always blown away. And in all the different institutions that I sort of teach. And then after I did my postgrad, I then really liked the idea of perhaps I should get into this teaching thing full time. Of course, I understood that, with teaching comes a lot of admin, the marking, the learning outcome, you name it. But I think because of, I'm very much, because I did all the admin work for my business, I'm very much okay with the administrative side of things. Yeah. But ultimately, I think Tsiba called me in because I saw the post, it was out, and I just had forgot to apply because it was December and I was so busy, right? Really,
right. Event season, it's summer, it's Christmas. Right. I can see that. Yeah.
So busy. So by the time I remembered, there was a post open, I sort of ran and it was already closed. But then I got an email from HR saying, you are recommended for this job. Here's a job description. Let us know if you are keen. And
so they gave you a second chance.
They gave me a second chance.
Amazing.
Yeah. So then I applied normally. And then I think like 2 or 3 weeks later, because it was still around January and we only start teaching in around like mid-Feb. So I think 2 weeks later, I got an invite for an interview and I was told everything. I was told the job spec, what the interview would be, what I should do, and a mock lecture. It was a huge thing. So I took some time to prepare that, went for the interview, and then got the job. But actually, I got it for 3 months. So they said, come in, teach for 3 months for the first semester, and then we'll see how you have done.
Okay.
And then after that, they extended the contract to December. And then for 2026, they're like, I think we want you full time. So what do you say? So, okay, let's go with that.
Yay! And now you get to work with my students as well, and they get to learn from you, which is super amazing.
Yeah.
And you've, as I said before, drank the academic Kool-Aid, because now you are not just being the head of entrepreneurship at Siba and running your own business.
Right.
You are also studying again. So how did that all come about?
Well, working for an academic institution, the one thing that they will push, the one agenda, is you studying further.
Okay.
So Tiba was like, hey, you need to study further. We see that there's much more that you can do. You could teach on postgrad as well. We want you to teach in postgrad. So perhaps go and study further. You need to have your master's at least to be studying in postgrad. And I guess they also have so much that they can do with me. They see a lot of potential. So one of the institution in itself then sort of pushed me to go and study. But I also started liking the fact that I may just climb the academic ladder. I have someone who's a professor in my life who's very close to me, who's a professor, and he's a man of stature. So I look at him, he's much older than me, but when I look at him, I'm like, I aspire to be like this guy.
I want to be like you when I grow up.
So he's one of the guys. So when I look at it, and now he's living in Switzerland. Maybe I shouldn't mention. I won't mention his name, but he lives in Switzerland and he does something really like big for our country, and he's so close to me. So, and when we sit together and have a conversation, I realized that maybe I could be. And he also just started out from lecturing to professor. So I like climbing the academic ladder, and I see myself as the professor, and I see. And I don't want to limit myself to that. Perhaps pass to a dean, to a VC.
Wow!
It's possible.
Yes, so good. So, I love it.
Yeah.
Limitless potential.
Yeah, limitless potential.
Yeah, that's so good.
100%.
And entrepreneur as well.
100%.
And one of the things that I love about being a professor is that you do get to do lots of different things, and it's not just the teaching, it's not just research. Like, I love both of those things, but the part of the job that a lot of people don't necessarily talk about is like the whole goal is to be of service to the world.
Indeed.
To learn things that, or inquire about things that nobody knows yet, and give maybe some answers that will help us as a human race take a step forward, but then also pass on that knowledge to the next generation and let them stand on our shoulders, and also work on application, like how do we actually apply what we know to help people. So I love it. And I see the similar spark in you. Like, I see that time when you're like, yeah, this is where I'm going.
I start to glow.
Super cool.
Whenever I speak about entrepreneurship, I start to glow. Yeah, I start to glow. And I truly enjoy teaching it, especially because Tsiba allows us it allows the entrepreneur in us. It allows us to say, you guys are welcome to do what you think is best for entrepreneurship. So they allow us the autonomy to dream and to have a vision and to be creative, which is very, very cool. Because if we were ever limited, then we wouldn't be able to sort of do it the way in which we want to do it. But because we have the autonomy of doing it, it makes it so much easier in class and outside of class with the immersion programs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really, really good from them. I think that's a very good position from them to allow us the autonomy. I mean, so our dean is very careful. I would assume every other dean is like that. So I have to sort of, work around him here and there. But he's not. One thing I like about him is that he allows us to sort of do what we need to do, especially with the immersion programs. But oftentimes he would sort of come, hey, how's things looking there and there, But other than that, I think Tsiba allows us to play around with it. And that's why I also enjoy my time with the students, because now my purpose has shifted from simply building this huge monumental business for myself. It's now shifted to impacting others to start businesses for themselves, which now comes back to that impact.
Yeah.
Right? It comes back to that service. So now I'm also just familiarizing myself with this impact shift, right? How it's evolved with me just being the one who wants to build this business and hire people, to now, hey, how about we help some people who have got the potential to start businesses so that they too can hire their people, etc.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at now.
Yeah, that's so good. What do you see? I mean, I have thoughts on this as well, but we both teach in very different contexts. What do you see that as some of the challenges that like prevent students from taking that step to starting their own thing themselves?
Yeah. Fear. Yeah, fear. It's so weird, but it's fear. Many students come and say, I really wanted to do this, but I'm afraid to do it. And I'm not really sure why, but we've got a business battle that we do every second semester. And, we marketed that business battle so good and so well that all the students knew about it. And I would, all the time when I was walking on corridors, I would sort of, hey, business battle, like just to random students that I didn't even know. And like all of them said, we know of this. But a handful of them came and said after it was done, hey, we were just scared to do it. We were just really afraid to do it. I'm not sure why. When I asked them why, I don't know. They say, I don't know, sir, but we're just afraid. That's it. And in class, I mean, I run my classes very practically to empower them. I mean, I do think of those who do not want to become entrepreneurs, and I try to balance the class in that way. But the class becomes so flexible that those who actually do want to become entrepreneurs are empowered in the classroom to become entrepreneurs. And I always say I'm also here as a backup, right? Still, they never really get into, they never break that fear factor. And I'm not really sure why, but maybe it's something that I should really investigate.
Sounds like a thesis topic.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
So good. Sounds like you've got a lot of plans for the future. So, and we've already talked about a few of them, but my final question is, if you could give your university age self a piece of advice looking back, what would it be?
Sure. If I could give my university a
piece of advice or some wisdom from the older and wiser Sinethemba, what would it be?
Sure. That's a difficult question.
Like, we need some elevator music.
Okay, I'd have to think about that one.
Take your time.
Yeah. I think, especially I'll speak from an entrepreneurship module. Allow entrepreneurship to be run the way the subject matter expert sees it being run. Allow them to run it that way, especially because we come from the industry. So we know how this works. So when we come into class, if it's just a rigor, and I don't think entrepreneurship is as a rigor theoretical approach, right? Pedagogical approach. I don't think so. I think it's more practice theory. It's more learning through immersion, learning through practice, going out to the field, going to different innovation hubs and see what the people are doing, rather than just focusing on just the theoretical aspect of it. And also, entrepreneurship is not a summary of all the other modules that are there. So, for example, there's a course called HR, and there's a course called marketing, and then you can graduate with a degree in marketing, and then there's a course called this and that. But when we come to the entrepreneurship syllabus, it shouldn't be a summary of all of that. So now Unit 1 is marketing, and it's just a summary, and then Unit 2 is HR, and it's a summary. It should be allowed a whole entire complete autonomous discipline. Then we'll see entrepreneurship really sort of climbing up the ladder much more than just, So that would be my advice to whoever is listening, that allow the industry experts who come in, who are the subject matter expert in entrepreneurship, to run the discipline of entrepreneurship on its own autonomously, as opposed to summarizing the rest of the curriculum that the university is doing and then saying, hey, this is entrepreneurship as a module.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great point. Yeah, because it is different.
It
It's
is.
different. Like doing human resources when you've got a team of 3
Yeah.
is very different from running a human
Precisely.
resources for a big organization, right?
Precisely.
So you need to know how to do it in that small arena, and in the jack of all trades environment where sometimes you're the HR person, but we need you on finance today, or we need you out there selling today because we need to make the money. So it is very different. So I agree with you. So I'll add my check mark to that as well. Well, thank you so much for coming and having this conversation and for sharing your story and your journey and all of your wisdom. And I can't wait to see what happens in the future. And one day to be, I'm not going to stop at VC. I'm going to go President Sinethemba.
Love it.
And let's go.
Love it. Love it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. It was amazing to be here.
Yeah.
Good to see you too, Nikki.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed that conversation and were so inspired by Sinethemba and his story. And yeah, I totally agree. Fear is something that can rob us of so much possibility and so much potential. So I hope that Sinethemba's story inspired you, and I hope that it will give you the courage to step out and step over or through or around the fear that you're feeling about something that you have a dream to do, because there's so much greatness on the other side of our fear. Thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week.